Hi, I'm Trevor Van Norman, and I'm a product marketing manager for Sprint. And we're here to show you the Samsung Epic 4G. We'll announce some details fairly shortly as far as pricing, availability, and launch date. The first thing you'll see right off the bat is that it's a Super AMOLED display, so it's just unbelievably crisp and clear display. And you'll see kind of a nice UI as well too. It's Android 2.1. We'll actually announce an upgrade to 2.2 as well too, because we know everybody's anxiously awaiting 2.2. But you'll notice that the display itself is super vibrant, that it's Super AMOLED. And what Samsung's done is they've taken layers out of the AMOLED technology. So different than TFT, you have just a couple layers. You basically have the AMOLED layer and glass on top, so the actual touchscreen itself is kind of integrated into the AMOLED, so it's super responsive. It's really bright, does real well in high sunlight situations, as well as less battery consumption. So the display itself is just phenomenal. Samsung's announced the Galaxy S line. There's Galaxy S devices with all the other carriers, but a couple things that are different. We're the only device that will be 4G capable. So we're actually looking at the connection manager here. So you can see different icons for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 4G. We're in San Francisco. We don't have 4G currently, but we've announced 4G is coming in 2010, and 4G is in 48 markets today. So we're moving towards our commitment to get to roughly 120 million customers by the end of the year. So we're the only 4G capable device. The other thing, we're the only device with a physical keyboard. So the only Galaxy S device with a physical keyboard, yet still has a real thin profile. So just a couple millimeters bigger than the Evo that we launched earlier in the year. And it has a full keyboard. And the keyboard is pretty compelling for people who need a physical keyboard, but the virtual keypad is really compelling as well too. So pretty easy to type. Also,
this is the swipe keyboard.
Yeah. So if you're a swipe user or familiar with swipe, I'm going to try to swipe from an angle. It's a little bit trickier from an angle, but a quick brown. Where's my W? Okay,
Good
so
man.
it suggested my brown fox. So pretty compelling as far as text entry. Once you get used to swipe, you can type up to 50 words per second, and there's lots of shortcuts and swipes. So I think to me that's a really compelling. You've got a physical keyboard, you've got a virtual keyboard, plus you've got swipe. Makes texting, makes inserting text really in any text box fairly simple, as well as Android 2.1. So I've got the ability to voice in any things as any text as well too, anywhere where I get a box, basically a search box or a text box. So that's some of the differences. One of the other big things with Epic is the inclusion of a media store. So Samsung's Media Hub, and we've got an example here. Basic Media Hub.
Is that up in the live right now? Because it's not for the other Galaxy S's.
Yeah, it's this is actually a beta load. When we launch the device, we'll launch Media Hub shortly after the device itself launches.
Is that handled by Sprint or is that handled by Samsung?
It's Samsung. So I think the way to think about this is, don't think about it necessarily in the context of just a device. Certainly Samsung wants to establish a Media Hub for all their other products as well too.
Gotcha. And
what they've told us at least is that I'll be able to purchase media, so I can purchase movies. Click here. And search, a catalog, basically like you would, any other movie store. TV shows as well too. Just showing some example content here. And I'll be able to download this content, and I'll be able to license this content on up to 5 devices. So basically I'll register up to 5 devices. So it could be a phone, it could be a Samsung TV, it could be a Blu-ray player, it could be a laptop, yep. And I'll be able to view the content if I purchased it and license those devices. I'll be able to watch it basically anywhere I'm at. So.
And do they expire?
You can purchase. So there's a couple different models. There's actually a
A rent and a purchase model?
Yeah, there's a rent and a purchase model. I think the rent model is either a 24-hour or 48-hour model. Let's see, we'll just go in. And again, this is kind of, I wouldn't say it's bogus content, but it's kind of example content basically. So I could watch the preview, I could own it, or I could rent it for 24 hours. And I'm not positive that 24 hours is the time. It's either 24 or 48 hours. I think it is 24 hours.
Gotcha.
So if I'm in 4G or in Wi-Fi, I would actually be able to watch the content. I think other carriers are only going to allow the viewing of content in Wi-Fi. Yeah, so that's certainly an advantage that Sprint has over other Galaxy S devices. The other thing is kind of compelling. Once I've purchased it, I can purchase and I can view. I can purchase and I can do kind of account management on 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi. I start downloading on 4G or Wi-Fi. Once I start downloading, it'll actually start downloading, and I can start playing it immediately, and it will continue to download in the background while I'm watching. I can download multiple movies as well too, and it basically, like in Android, it'll just kind of give you status in the panel at the top.
Can you rotate it horizontally?
Yeah.
And does it recognize it?
Should.
Oh, okay. That display is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So while we're talking about content, maybe what we'll do is we'll go out to the media viewer.
You're going to talk about the front-facing camera too?
Yeah. Let me just show real quick.
Now, is that the content, is that DRM free or is it locked to Samsung?
The movie store is going to have DRM attached to it, so it will play on any device that's registered. So this is just a MPEG-4 or something that we've downloaded of Avatar, just to kind of show the experience.
It's just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
This could be like the next fourth screen or something.
Yeah.
Is it the same battery life? I mean, same battery as the other Galaxy S, or?
It has a 1500 milliamp. I think all of them are 1500 milliamp. You know, I've noticed. You know, Evo had a 1500 milliamp as well too, but I think with the AMOLED display and maybe the processor, well, yeah, it's a little bit better. It's got a little bit better experience. Yeah. So we talked about the camera. So dual camera, a little bit different. So it's a 5 megapixel versus an 8 megapixel with the Evo, and then it's got a VGA, front-facing VGA camera, which is a little bit different than the 1.3 megapixel.
And Epic's probably, I think Epic is the one of the two of the four that's got a powered LED flash, right?
Yep. Yeah, different for Epic versus all the other carrier devices, the front-facing camera. So the Verizon version, the T-Mobile, the AT&T version aren't going to have the front-facing camera. So I would say 5 megapixel versus 8 megapixel is not that significant. I think that the optics, there's a lot of things that really kind of drive. I think I've seen as good a quality pictures out of this 5 megapixel camera as out of an 8 megapixel on the Evo. So.
And I know with Samsung they have different like templates or something like that you can use for day, night.
Yeah.
Panoramic.
Yeah, so I think that's the one thing I actually am impressed is that the UI on the camera is very much like a point-and-shoot camera. So I could choose different settings. Should be able to here. I'll go back.
Is there a hard physical button?
There is, yeah. So different modes here. So single shot, beauty. I think much more like a traditional camera, and probably kind of lends itself. Samsung's in the camera business as well too, so using some of that to set the front-facing, basically self-shot.
Hey, hey, who's that in the background there?
Flash is pretty easy to set as well too, as well as.
Is it touch to focus?
It is. So let's say I want to focus on that.
Nice.
And then gives you different options as far as sharing.
Yeah, your standard Android.
Yep. You had asked about the physical buttons on the top here. So you can launch the camera with the physical button. think you can also shoot with the physical button. Might make a liar out of it.
There we go.
And then zoom. There's a physical button for the zoom as well too, on the bottom here. Not the best angle to show you, but actually see me zooming in on the door handle.
Yeah, you don't want to do too much, right? Because it's optical, so
Yeah.
you'll get some distortion.
So a real nice UI. Physical buttons on the camera, which is always kind of a nice feature.
And then you can also save to memory card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I think the default is to send it to the memory card.
Still can't get over how amazing that display is.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing that we talked a little bit about that's a little bit different from Evo is rather than using HDMI out, it uses DLNA.
Mm-hmm.
DLNA has been around for a while, maybe 5 to 10 years as a standard, gaining some traction with companies like Samsung and Sony and LG. Basically uses Wi-Fi as kind of your connectivity, or can use Bluetooth and Ethernet, but really is about sending content wirelessly from one device to another. So anything that's DLNA capable, so I can actually looking for a Wi-Fi network, I can actually play a file from my phone onto another player, so a DLNA capable Blu-ray player, maybe a game player like a PSP or a TV, or I can move content from a PC to my phone. So maybe I want to move music from my PC that's Windows 7 to my phone, or I can actually use the phone as a remote control to control content from maybe a server to a TV content. So you've got kind of different models. It's kind of a push model, a pull model, and then a remote control model.
Gotcha.
So anything that's DLNA capable, pretty simple to set up.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Samsung TVs at home I'll be able to test this feature
Yeah.
out with.
Yeah. I think what else? In the box, I guess that's one thing a little bit different. So the micro SD card is a 16 gigabyte micro SD card.
Oh, is that what's included?
Yeah. So because the device is all about entertainment and content and media, we thought it was pretty important to have a big, micro SD card in the box. It'll come with a 3.5 millimeter headset, and then the USB is a kind of a powered USB, kind of a two-piece USB piece. So, what else did I miss? Quick, obviously, because the dual cameras. Hotspot. So hotspot is pretty similar to the hotspot that we did on Evo. We'll connect up to 5 devices. 5 is kind of our core spec, so a little bit different UI, but allow us to connect up to 5 devices to leverage 3G or 4G capabilities. The widgets, I think, are actually Samsung's done a pretty nice job on the widgets. So we've got Android widgets, we've got Samsung widgets, shortcuts, folders, wallpapers. Live wallpapers just kind of sparkle on this. Not sure why this is so exciting, but for some reason it is. I think on the display it's pretty compelling.
Well, they're the first to do it also. No one else has been able to, not them as in Samsung, but Android as a whole.
Samsung widgets are actually kind of nice. I showed a little bit further over this clock, but like the program monitor is kind of nice. You can see actually how many apps are running. Kind of nice to manage it. Kind of your
that's cool.
Task
and
manager.
Wow.
Yeah. And
is that unique to Epic, or is that? I can't remember if it's in the other.
It might be in TouchWiz, so it might be a part of TouchWiz. I'm not sure if it's in other devices. But kind of nice that you've got some task management, and I mean more than anything, actually a native application to manage your programs versus downloading something that could impact your device itself. Great for battery management.
What about Sprint-specific app?
So right on the home page, one thing you'll notice is Sprint Zone. something that we've been kind of pushing a little bit more from an account management perspective, but also one of the things that we're trying to push a little bit is just making some recommended apps on Android. Most early adopters are familiar with Android apps, but a lot of times people need a little bit of guidance. So we use this as a recommendation engine to some extent. It's not intrusive, so it's not necessarily the carrier telling you what applications you should use. It's just us making some recommendations and kind of changing this up a little bit, but also allowing for some account management as well too. So that's something we've been putting on a number of devices for a while. Over here is kind of where we've put most of our content, so Sprint TV, and I'll see if I can launch Sprint TV, Sprint Football, Sprint Navigation, so we'll include navigation, the DLNA product, and then NASCAR Live as well too, so a lot of our branded applications. This is going to run on 3G, so it should be decent. Certainly on 4G, moreover Wi-Fi is really compelling. You see a little bit less startup on 4G, a little bit less streaming.
And whenever you need to, which is everywhere and all the time. Sign up free at ESPN.com.
That was the last channel I was on, or someone was on. And a lot of times our content isn't optimized until we launch the product, so I may find stuff that's not actually up and running.
Now, was it Samsung's suggestion for Sprint to put a QWERTY keyboard in the front-facing camera, or was that kind of a dual partner decision-making?
Yeah, I think
process?
more us from a roadmap perspective. We knew that we would have Evo as a candy bar 4G device, and we certainly wanted a keyboard device. I think that what Samsung probably would have liked to have had all of the carrier devices be kind of the monolith devices. So I think there's some differentiation there. And then the dual camera was like our spec, I think, for our 4G products. We're always trying to spec it with a dual camera because we know that certainly with Quick and other applications that that dual camera kind of opens up interesting paradigms, and you really need to have a good 4G network, a pretty good network basically to take advantage of dual cameras, whether it be video chat or virtual reality type of applications that'll certainly come sooner or later. So.
All right. Anything else you want to show us on the Epic 4G?
I think that's it. I think we hit everything.